Kiana.
And I'm Khadija with This Is R&B.com. And we're here with the multi-talented Kevin Ross. How are you?
Doing great, doing awesome. Thank you for having me.
Yes, we are so excited for tonight, guys. Before we begin, we just really wanted to start at the beginning of your career. And we wanted you to walk through that moment, you know, of being signed to the iconic Motown Records. What was that like?
It was really cool. I will say that I started writing first. And so, you know, from people hearing demos and stuff like that, it kind of gave me the confidence to be like, you know what, I could possibly do this artistry thing. And then it kind of cultivated into its own art. And so, yeah, by the time that I reached Ethiopia and James Foster, who was over at Verve, it made sense. And so we connected, and it was a really awesome experience for sure.
Okay, all right. So your first placement was with Jamie Foxx.
Yeah.
Tell us what that was like.
It was so like sudden, to be honest, because like I did the song maybe 9 months prior when I first moved down to Atlanta, and I was just like, all right, well, it's just, you know, it's just something in the can. Obviously, they didn't want it or whatever. And then I just got a random call on a Saturday, and they're like, yo, how fast can you get to the airport? And I'm like, how fast can I get to the airport? Like today? It's like, yeah, like in hours. It was like, Jamie wants to cut the record tonight. And I'm like sitting in my pajamas, and I'm like, yeah, cool, all right. He's like, all right, give me the Addy. Can you be ready in an hour? The car gonna pick you up. We out of here. So it was really cool. And then when we went to, I think it was out in like Calabasas at the time. We drove out there, finally got to Jamie's house, very hospitable. And for a while, like we didn't see Jamie at all. Like they had took us through like the house, and then like in like the pool areas where he has his recording setup at. And so like there's a room before you get into like the studio where I guess it's kind of like a big, I guess like a table where you would entertain and have like food and drinks and all this stuff. So he had ordered like Cheesecake Factory, but not like normal people. Like he like ordered like the restaurant, like every dish that you think of was on the table. I was like, this is another level of success that I've never experienced before. I was like, it's really us three that's gonna be here, and he has all of Cheesecake Factory, but I didn't mind it at all. So yeah, and then Jamie came in, and he was just like one of the hardest working people, you know, just in the booth, and he takes in so much information, just a dope experience, like through and through.
So how was it like when you saw that Cheesecake Factory? I know when you're in front of certain people, you're like, I'm not going to eat, but it's all this food. I'm hungry. I want to eat.
Right.
You're like, are you fronting, or you were like, I'm eating?
Oh, no, listen, like by the time that like I ate a little bit before Jamie got there, and then when Jamie got there, like, you know, we got through with the song, and then we start cutting another song, and then I was like, all right, cool. Like he's taking a break. Man, if I had Tupperware or something like that, all of it would be gone. Like, oh God. So,
take a doggy bag.
Exactly. So it was really cool though.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
Awesome.
So we know that you've worked with Troy Taylor. We spoke to him recently, and you know, the mayor of R&B had some great things to say about you. What would you say is some of the best advice you've received from him?
Advice that I received from him, he always goes by this motto. He's like, I just work here. Hey, I just work here. Like if anybody knows Troy, it's like through and through, it's just kind of like, that's his motto. I just work here. And so I had to understand that like, that's a part of like servitude, meaning that like ego can't get in the way. But then also him being able to diversify, he always has his ear towards like new artists and new writers and new producers, and it keeps him fresh, and it keeps him just kind of in the circle of what's going on. So that's one thing that I've learned and I admire about the OG and the mentor, Troy, for sure.
All right, awesome. So you worked with the mayor of R&B, Trey Songz, Tony Braxton, Tank, Nicki Minaj, SWV,
keep it going,
Rain, just to name a few. What other artists are left for you to work with? Who do you want to work with next?
Stevie Wonder is kind of like the last on my list that I would want to work with. And you know, then of course, like I want to work with Jonathan McReynolds on a record.
He's dope.
Yeah, he's
Definitely.
super dope. Of course, PJ. Yeah, I mean, it's, I'm definitely gonna. I have worked with Ari, but not like me and her on a record yet. I've known Ari Lennox since she was maybe 15, 16 years old because we're from DC. And so I remember when she sang Minnie Riperton for like a DC like show that was going on. And the crazy thing is like we met up maybe like 10 years after or something like that. So it was really awesome. So I look forward to doing that. I co-produced a record on Nasty C's record called Black and White, and she's featured on there. So that's kind of, how we have worked together. But I definitely want our voices to mesh. But that should happen very soon, for sure.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
For sure. Could you share with us some of your fondest memories, dropping your first album, and then Dialogue in the Gray, and then going on tour with Maxwell and Neo? Hello. We need some of those memories. Share with us.
You know what the crazy thing is? Everything you said happened the complete opposite way. So,
really?
So when I went on tour with Maxwell, I had no record out, no EP out, no nothing. It was nothing, like zero traction on me. I had like 5,000 followers on IG. So it was like a very, very like, I was nothing. I was like literally. And so Max had heard, I guess, some music that I was working on. And so he was like, I'll give the kid a shot. And so I'm like, damn, maybe, a couple shows. Like, nah, he had me on like 20 shows. Like I was on the tour, you know what I'm saying? And so the really cool thing about it is that like it's me, of course, in a van, and we're in like this church van or whatever. So it's like 8 of us piled up in there, and we like come into the venue, and it's like 3 like big ass tour buses. Like they're not regular. It's like one side of it come out, and then the bottom half. And I was like, yo, like we're in a totally different like space, but it was super cool. Like, and everything was so humble because like, Max had his like, of course he had his stylist, but then he had somebody that was specifically there to like steam everyone's clothes, not our clothes. So I'm like, excuse me, Miss Lady, can I have an iron and an ironing board? So she's like, yeah, here you go. So I'm ironing one day, we just kind of like going through the set, and he like peeks out. He's like, he take his phone and he has this thing where he records everything. He's like, I haven't seen this in such a long time. And he was like, just like an artist, like ironing his stuff. Like, this is so raw. I was like, it made me feel so poor at the same time. I was just like, wait, you don't even iron anymore? So,
wow.
Yeah, Max is hilarious. Like we definitely have tour stories. Like his tour bus set on fire, and we were all worried that he was in there, and he was filming the tour bus while it was on fire. And I'm like,
my gosh,
bro, what's going on? Your tour bus is on fire. Like this should literally be in shambles. He's like, nah, I got insurance. It's cool. And I was like,
okay.
Obviously, this is a whole different level of money and bracket that we're dealing with. I'm sorry. I hate to go on, but anywho, Max.
No, it's fun. We love it.
Super down to earth and humble. And then I think Dialogue in the Gray came out, and then we had the Glade commercial to come out around the same time that I went on tour with Neo. And I met Neo prior because he was working at Motown at the time as senior VP of A&R. And so he had heard, the music. And so he was like, man, I've been wanting to work. Let's get it. So he hopped on the record, and then we went on tour. So it was really cool. Like a great experience for sure.
Oh, wow. Listen to those experiences. I was going to ask you what your wildest experience in the studio was, but it sounds like the tour bus catching on fire could be like, could make the list. It's not a studio, but it was definitely a crazy story. Like you're on tour and the bus catches on fire. Like,
yeah. You know what? One of the craziest studios experience was I had the opportunity to work with Babyface for like 2 weeks. And so we locked in, and so I'm thinking like, it's Babyface. He, like, obviously the guitar is like legitimately attached to him or something, but I had him all wrong. Like, number one, he's super stealth. Like, we're at his studio, Brandis Way. And so we're sitting there talking. It's me and Chris and me and what's his name, Antonio Dixon and Leon, and so like he has a crew of people. So we all talking, shooting shit, da 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 da. And so he come out the shadows, and he's always dressed in all black. I'm like, oh shit! I'm like, yo, that's crazy. I was like, yo, what are you? He was like, oh no, I was just chilling, hanging. I was like, in the shadows, bro. Did with us?
Right.
He was taking in all of the information. He was trying to get to know me without his presence being intimidating or overwhelming. So like, it was just super cool. Like he bust out in a freestyle one day. We was going through a song, and I was like, nigga, you rap? I was like, what's going on, bro? Shout out to Face, yes.
Hi, Babyface. So you talked about, the artists such as Maxwell and Babyface being, kind to you. And Maxwell, you actually going on tour with Maxwell when you only had 5,000, was it 5,000 followers?
5,000 followers, yeah, like in total.
So I'm pretty sure you get DMs from artists that are up and coming or, just trying to get in the game.
Yeah.
How do you, I guess, not give back, but how do you approach those situations with newer artists? Do you show love or, you got things to do? You're on the come up.
I mean, honestly, I try to show as much love as I possibly can. So if somebody's hitting me and they like, yo, man, I need some advice, X, Y, and Z, like, I know that early on, like before all that stuff, I didn't have too many people that was in my corner to give me advice. So I want to make sure that I am as available as I possibly can be by just kind of keeping it brief and, texting through the DM, or if we create like a bond, and I'll, send my number out or whatever, and then we just kind of chop it up from there. But I mean, I'm an artist advocate, first. So I always want to look out for the creative and make sure that they understand what their worth is to this music industry.
Absolutely. That's awesome. So have you ever had anybody send you music who you're like, you're dope, I want to work with you, I'll give you a shot? Has that ever happened?
Yes. That's happened a couple of times, actually. It was a certain, like, I guess a guy like had put a track on IG, and he had like redid a version of Be Great, which is a song that I had off my first project. And so he had like did a remix kind of version to it, and I hit him and I was like, I need that. I was like, send this to me ASAP.
Wow.
Like, sure enough, he sent all of the stems, and that went to be Great, the remix with me and BJ, the Chicago kid. And so, like I find that stuff all the time where it's like, yo, you're a dope stylist, you're a dope creative director, you're a dope this and that. And I'll just reach out, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah. But, that's the beauty of social media, is really just like trying to plug in and connect.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we know COVID has really put a damper on the world.
Yeah.
And you dropped 2 EPs, the Audacity Volume 1 and Audacity Volume 2. Yes. We definitely get into that for sure. What did you have anything scheduled? Any type of touring that you were doing that just unfortunately didn't happen, or planning to still do it for 2021?
I had a tour that I was gonna start in like April, and so we were gonna call it, of course, the Audacity Tour, and it was gonna really like kind of like be like a 10-city run, and then like during the run we're gonna drop Volume 2, and just kind of keep the energy going. But of course, when COVID happened, it really put a damper on everything. And it's looking like it'll be 2021. I just gotta make sure that the venues that we're using are like, they're taking the proper precautions, because more so than monetary value, it's about people's safety too. So like, for me, like I could do like a good consistent run of like City Winery, which is like 350 people, right? Each city. And so the thing is with City Winery, because it has that capacity, it's still intimate, but they can only do 50 people, per show. So they're like, hey, Kev, you want to still do it? It'll be 50 people. And I'm like, what, to do the show 5 to 6 times? I'm like, nah. And I was like, is the money going to increase? They was like, nope, you're going to get paid the same thing, but you have to do the show 6 times. And I'm like, the show's an hour long. So I'm like, let's go ahead and hold off until 2021 until everything clears. But I mean, I'm super excited, and I wouldn't even say anxious. I'm just poised, and ready and prepared, so that when it does open up, that we can give the best show possible.
Love that. Love that. Patience.
Yes.
What artist are you most compared to, if any? You got your own thing going on, but sometimes people always want to say, "Oh, he's like," or when you sing, you remind me of.
You know what? The thing that I hear, not often, but occasionally, and they're like, "Yo, you and Lucky Day sound similar," and I was like, "Well, that's interesting." I was like, I don't know. I was like, to each his own. I enjoy the music. Who else do they say? They say that, I don't know. Then then they start saying not old school people, but just like people back in the day, like they said, oh, you got hints of Donnell Jones and you got hints of this person and that person. Mm-hmm. I try not to get into that too much. I like who I like. I listen to who I listen to, and whatever comes out, it is what it is. I'm just, like any artist, we're just a melting pot of what we listen to, and then we just find our own signature in that.
Okay. Yeah. You went to performing arts in DC?
Yeah, Ellington School of the Arts.
Shout out to performing arts. I went to creative performing arts in Philly.
Nice.
What was you were a music major, a vocal major?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. So you knew then that you were going to be big.
Nah, I ain't know that. I ain't know that. Like, honestly, because I was so quiet and reserved into myself prior to high school that I needed to break away from like the monotony of like what was going on through, grade school. And so I was like, I need a new, fresh start. So let me go to a completely different school. I really hadn't done any like art stuff prior to that. So I was at a disadvantage. But, they helped me to kind of create a path. We were doing a lot of classical music. And from that, I was like, that ain't my bag. I had certain scholarships to go to certain schools, colleges for classical. And I was just like, nah, I can't. I don't see myself doing a career of singing other people's stuff forever. I was like, I want to be, those old people, the old composers, where, it's like, if you just have one song to live longer than you, then, you've done something special as a composer or creative.
So, we know you're doing a lot of mashups, and we encourage everyone to go to This Is R&B sessions on our YouTube channel and check out Kevin Ross's, where he did his single thing called Love, and Prince's, Beautiful One, which by all means we thought it was incredible. And to be honest, a lot of industry people were reaching out. We want to get that Kevin Ross. We want to do that Kevin Ross. And we're like, okay, we'll do the sessions, but you're not Kevin Ross, but okay, we'll see what happens when it comes out. But what can we look forward to? Some upcoming mashups. What do you got?
Yeah. Well, speaking of mashup, I'm doing this whole thing called the Mashup Show. And so pretty much it's something that I do on Facebook Live every Monday at 8 o'clock. And I have a different guest. So I'm the host instead of, being interviewed. I'm the host. So, I'm there to celebrate. MASH is an acronym, Making Art Shape History. So just giving people roses while they're still here, talking to, other creatives that are in my same age bracket, but then of course younger and older. So I consider myself kind of like a bridge in that sense. So it's been fun. Like we had the OG vet Avant on the show. We had last night. We had Adrian Marcel. We had Sonarella. So we have some really cool people in the upcoming weeks that are really tied together. And it's just about having fun. So that's really kind of like what I'm honing in on, is just like, making sure that the Mashup Show is as complete and as thorough as I possibly can make it. And then of course on like the mashup end and me being in those little boxes, I want to make sure that I do that at least like every other month. I want to make it occasional versus it being like my thing, you know what I mean? Where it's like I'm pegged for that. So I try to, make sure that it's like a novel thing more so than it is like reoccurring.
Everybody listening, check them out. So to date, what would you say is your biggest accomplishment in the music industry?
I've had some really cool stuff happen to me. I will say that, and I've been really blessed and fortunate. I think that Me surviving a year as an independent entrepreneur, artist, and owner has been like the biggest accomplishment. September 27th of this year will mark my first year of being an independent artist. And so that brings me great joy and pleasure that one, I was able to see year two, that I didn't go broke, that I didn't go insane. It's a lot of things that could have happened in between. And yeah, man, I mean, I didn't have music out for like 2 years because I was trying to be released from the label that I was with. And so, we know how time is, like, let alone being gone for 6 months and then, 2 years, you're starting over from zero, from nothing. And that was kind of my mentality. So, millions of streams later and a top 20 record at Urban AC Radio, we've done pretty well. And I'm looking forward to, just bigger and better and learning more about myself as an entrepreneur, as a budding businessman, and then as an artist as well.
Congratulations on that.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Major accomplishment there, for sure.
You talked about, being in the top 20, but your single, Long Song Away, reached number 1 on Billboard's adult R&B song chart and urban contemporary radio.
Put them up, those ones, baby.
What was your inspiration for that?
I just wanted a great vibe. I had just my homie had left his guitar over at my house like years and years ago. And I was like, man, let me just see if I can play. Let me see if I can play a little something. And I started learning like chords, and then like that was the first song that I cut, with the guitar. And so I just want this like feel good, like DC got this like quiet storm vibe where you could 2-step and it felt good. I never thought that it would be a single though. I just knew it was one of my personal favorites that I created. And so I would play it in the car and I'm like, this ride, this feels so good. I know that everybody may not understand it because, for most of my career, people were saying that I was just way too musical. I was way too young to be as musical as I was. And, there wasn't a her yet. It wasn't like R&B's completely different than when I first started. So it was more so about a cool factor. So I sat on that record for like 4 or 5 years prior to it being released. And it was a gamble, honestly. And so I'm just grateful that, that a base was cultivated through it and that we took it number 1. I will give it up to the major label for financing it and being able to fight for it, to say, okay, just like the record thing called Love going top 20, I understood the reasoning why. It's like, okay, you can take it further if you had a little bit more of this. So I'm like, all right, cool. They put a lot more into that to make it number 1. So I'm grateful, man. Like, it's definitely, a record that has legs and that surprisingly throughout the years has held up and people's, kind of favorite from me. So it's cool.
Glad you took the gamble because it definitely was a hit. So why is R&B relevant?
Ooh, why is R&B relevant?
Mm-hmm.
R&B
still relevant.
Oh, yeah.
People trying to say it's dead, but let them know
that's wrong.
Let them know.
We know.
Let me clear something up. All right. So I believe, and this is my opinion, I believe the R&B is in one of the best spaces that it's been in the past 15 years. And the reason why I say that is because of the fact that we are underground. It's the fact that we are the underdogs. We are not mainstream. And so what that creates is everyone leveling up their game to try to be seen. No one can, do the cookie cutter thing because it's not successful, right? So you're now finding individual pockets, artistry, sounds, producers, and just this lushness that's coming from out of the genre that we haven't heard in quite a long time. And so I'm really excited about where R&B is at. I think that it'll never die. I mean, when you really look at the landscape of hip hop, it's like now a requirement for rappers. Like you gotta sing something. You gotta have, melodies somewhere. Melody's king. You know what I mean? So that'll never die. Their approach is R&B. It's just the fact that it's dressed in a different way. So R&B will always and forever exist. I just think that what we have to do is to be able to endure, be grateful for the platform that we have. We will rise again. We will be back in the forefront. It's just about who's going to be there, who's going to be to the left, who's going to be to the right, what your position is going to be. And so everyone has to be okay with the position that they're going to have to play. And so I'm excited for that very reason. R&B is not a trend, it's the truth. Forever will be.
Talk your stuff. Yes.
Not a trend, but the truth. Okay.
I like it.
I love it. So we want to ask you favorite songs, okay?
Yes.
All right. So Dialogue in the Gray.
Oh God. Dream.
Me too. Okay, us too. Sorry. Let's see if we're matching up on that one. Okay, and Drive.
Drive. Wow. Probably it's between Cruise and Prototype for me for sure. Those two are like hand in hand. Prototype I'm more privy to because like I had it for years and I didn't know what to do with it. And then I was like, oh, okay, I get to do this EP. It's a vibe. Let's go. Prototype. So
right.
it's cool. So Cruise or Prototype for Drive for sure.
Definitely. It was Prototype and I like it. I mean,
hey.
right. Like I do. Sorry.
Yeah.
Audacity Volume 1.
Oh gosh. If I had to pick one, it would be Thing Called Love. It just feels great to me.
Forsaken, but it's okay.
Oh, you got a gem out of that.
Ooh.
That's rare for people to be like Forsaken for sure.
Yes. I mean, you were a little stalkerish on that. What's the name of that song?
Switching Sides.
Yes, I was like, dang, I never seen somebody or heard like from a male perspective of like I'm stalking you down, even though you said that I'm not, because we're not switching sides. I was like, okay, Kevin, I see you.
I would say possessive more so than stalkerish.
All right, tomato.
Yeah.
Audacity Volume 2.
Ooh, Volume 2. Honestly, for me, Overthink is a really like musical record, and I think that it kind of reaches or it's closer to my core for sure as far as like just heart, like my heart songs. So yeah.
Salvation, but that one's good too.
Listen, I enjoy Salvation too. Listen,
it's no skip for sure.
It don't matter. Just keep screaming all of it. We'll be good.
Definitely, all of them are no skips for us. I mean,
absolutely.
You can
Remind You is my favorite.
Songs. Yes, Mind You is good. It's a good one too. No skips. What's your favorite song that you've written for other artists?
Jeez. Probably, you know what? I was. Okay. It's between What's Best for You by Trey and what's another one? Damn. I would just say What's Best for You for right now. Because it's some stuff that might be coming out soon that's like it might be my favorite. So we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we love to play this game called Write the Hook with singer-songwriters such as yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to give you 2 words and you just write the hook, okay?
Okay.
So the 2 words that we have for you are mail, like you mail, like a mailbox, office kind of thing, and
mail
heart.
a letter.
Right, mail a letter, and heart. So mail and heart.
So, let's see. Does it have to be mail? Like, does it have to be like succinct, where it's like mail heart together?
No. It doesn't. Just mail has to be in there and heart has to be in there.
All right.
Oh wow!
I was about to say he's bringing it all out for us.
Love it.
Woo!
Let's see. Send me a heart right through the mail. I know the feelings you want, I can tell. Send me a heart right through the mail. I know it's getting hard, I want to tell. Send me a heart not through the mail. I want it right now, all I can tell is send me a heart not through the mail. I need you right here, right now. Send me, send me. Send me a heart, not through the mail. I need it right now, all I can tell. Send me a heart, but not through the mail. I need your presence right now. Send me a heart, right through the mail. I need you right now, all I can tell. All by myself, I want you all to myself. Want you to myself. Okay. Send me a heart, but not through the mail. I want you all of my time. I want you all. I want you all to myself. I only want you all to myself. All myself and all. Yeah, that's it. Send me a heart, but not through the mail. Girl, I don't want you all to myself. Send me a heart, not through the mail. I want you all to myself. Yes, you ain't got a question, no. You ain't got a second guess where it's from. Send me a heart, not through the mail. I'm selfish, I just can't help. Something like that.
Woo! We just wanted to hug you. You just wrote a whole verse there, so we were like,
Oh,
we won't send it through the mail. Okay, we won't.
Okay, all right. Okay.
That
No, it was so good.
so, I love that. Can you make that a real thing?
Right.
I love it.
Not through the mail. I want it all to myself. Okay, nobody asked me to sing, but it was beautiful. That was so lovely.
You're an artist, a real artist. I love it. I want to send you my heart through the mail, but I know you said you don't want it. You want it in person. I just love it.
I want it in person. Yeah, for sure.
That was so dope. Is there anything you want to share with the world? Any causes that are dear to your heart that you want people to know about?
Register to vote. Register to vote for November, man. Like, it's imperative for us to show up in numbers, whether it's in the physical sense or actually getting your mail-in ballot. But make sure that you get it early. They're making up excuses of the reasons why our vote won't count because of the postal service and all of this silliness. I just want to make sure that we use this time to send a message to the powers that be as far as within this country that this is still a democracy. Our voice matters, how we feel matters, and then beyond anything, as far as our culture and people that are of color, the melanin, we matter and we have power and we have a voice. Our predecessors and ancestors has fought for it. They've given us a platform, so I really do encourage everyone to go out and vote. Beyond anything, I can name a couple of other organizations, but right now, at this current time, I think that's like the most important that I'm trying to just get across to everybody that I talk to.
That's right, you heard it. Vote.
Yep.
No excuse.
Exactly.
Where can people find you, Kevin?
They can go ahead and follow me at Kevin Ross Music, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, or you can go to kevinrossmusic.com. Of course, you can get your merch, you can get everything there as well. And then, of course, the Mashup Show at Kevin Ross Music, Facebook Live, 8 o'clock every Monday. We in there rocking.
All right. everybody, Kevin Ross, thank you so much for taking time to spend with us on thisisrnb.com. We appreciate you. Keep making that music, keep leading the trends, and being the truth, like you said R&B was. We need people like you. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Thank you guys. You're welcome. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next time on thisisrnb.com.
Take care.